Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Majo, and in today's video I am going to talk about 10 steps in order for getting a job for after graduation. So a brief introduction about me, it's that I came to study psychology a year and a month ago from Lima, Peru. So Latin America. I came to the UK. I recently graduated from my master's and I managed to get a full-time position in a job that I was really looking forward to get. So a brief context on that is that I came from the corporate world doing HR, doing marketing, and I wanted to transition into doing something with education and psychology. And this job that I just got is called Young People Advisor, and I was really aiming at getting this type of role, one-on-one, mentoring students, helping them pursue their personal and career aspirations. I didn't have a lot of experience in this side, but I still managed to do it. And in today's video, I'm gonna walk you through how you can do this too. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so step number one is start as early as you can with your career planning. When I say as early as you can, it's because you might not be 100% sure about what specific thing or job you want to do, and it's okay. Just make sure that you are talking to people, asking yourself, analyzing what you're good at, what are your hobbies, what would you do if no one even paid you for doing that, and why. Really make sure these questions are answered, and that takes time and that may vary, but it's just the foundation before starting on this job search and getting that desired job. So when that's figured out, so you have a kind of an idea of the sector, the type of roles you see yourself doing, you analyze what are your skills. Now let's get on to that next step. Okay, so the next step would be to write a good CV/resume. So now that you know what types of roles you're aiming at, you're gonna look at the job descriptions of those roles, and you're going to want to highlight the skills, the experience that they are asking for in your CV. Obviously, you're not going to invent that you have those skills or work experience. You need to work on that. But even if you have some sort of voluntary experience in some of the bullet points that the job description of your desired roles keep mentioning, then make sure to highlight those in your CV. So this taken to the practical world. In my case, I was trying to get jobs in the education psychology sector. I figured out the perfect entry-level position to do that was a teaching assistant. So before even coming to the UK, I thought about getting a TA role. And I was sure to highlight every volunteering experience I had in teaching, every voluntary thing I had around children. I was even sure to highlight my experience as an after-school teacher for 3 months, for example. And I even edited the first paragraph of my CV in which I introduced myself, and I was sure to mention background experience in teaching, in voluntary and paid positions, also a successful career path in organizational psychology, because obviously my CV was around that as well. But that could also lead me towards my future goals, so I was sure to highlight that too. And in this way, I was kind of rebuilding my CV towards what I wanted. So now that we created a winning CV, we can go on to the third step. Step 3 would be to write a cover letter. Now, I know a lot of people don't like writing cover letters. It's a bit frustrating. You don't know what to put. Is it the same as a CV? Is it just transcribing your CV? Well, no. It's actually, you are going to include the things that you put in your CV, that's for sure, but you're gonna write it in a way that you're telling a story to that employer that you've come to this point in which you have the skills, the work experience, and you know the why. The why would you be good at this role, and the why do you want this type of role. So in this cover letter, you include these pieces together. You do this in a formal way. There's no one way to do it. Every cover letter will be different depending on the role, depending on the experience. So pretty much every cover letter is unique to the person. So in my case, I was sure to highlight how I came from human resources, but then realized my passion was in education because I was already volunteering around that side. I was sure to highlight that I worked as a teaching assistant while studying. I was even sure to highlight the topic of my dissertation in my cover letter because it was related to the types of roles that I was aiming. So my thesis was about how student motivation is correlated with emotional intelligence, how these two come together, and how that really sums up why I decided to pursue psychology and education in the first place. So that way employers really know you are confident in getting into this sector and getting into this role. So now that we know what types of roles we're aiming at, we're created a CV aligned to the job descriptions of those roles. We've created a cover letter that really sells our experience and our story as to why we want to pursue those roles. Now we can go on to the next step. Step number 4 would be network effectively. And this could be done at the earliest stage possible in your career. The earliest, always the better, definitely. So for example, if you're going abroad, even networking before is a great idea. You can search through LinkedIn the people that have already graduated the program, the course that you're gonna do abroad, and ask them for their advice, and also get inspired about their own career paths. Get inspired. Now, what are they doing? Now, what types of roles are they doing after they finish the studies that you're about to start? So whilst you are in university, definitely network with your career service team. Literally, their job is to get you a job after graduation, or at least to advise you on how you can do this. So do take advantage of that resource, also with your own lecturers and with your peers. Whilst you're at your course, ask your peers about their thoughts on their own career aspirations, and you can also get some good ideas around that. There's always those people that know when the next job fair is gonna be. You never know where you might end up meeting that contact that's gonna lead you somehow to your desired role. So really make sure you network effectively. Okay, now that we have that off the table, the next step would be to utilize online job portals. There's lots of online job portals that you can search for jobs in. Some of them are here, but the ones that are really helped me the most are certainly Indeed and LinkedIn. Now make sure you set up job alerts for those specific roles that you've identified, because obviously we have a lot of things going on in our day. Maybe you're studying, maybe you're doing other things, and we're not gonna scroll all day 24/7. These job alerts are gonna make your life easier because you're gonna have delivered to your mailbox as soon as those jobs that you want open. So you just have to invest time in checking your mailbox every day, I would say, and looking at those job alerts that you've set up yourself, and check if they're aligned to what you're really looking for, and check if you have the work experience and the skills necessary to apply to them. Now, when I say this, it's obviously relatively. I encourage you to try and aim as high as you can, but only if you feel confident to do that. So if you look at a job description of a job alert that maybe you've got into your mailbox that it says 5 or 7 years of experience in, I don't know, HR, and you have a voluntary experience of being an HR analyst. So I would say probably before applying, just make sure you gain that experience. It doesn't have to be 5 years. Sometimes recruiters will put 5 years, but maybe they're willing to accept someone that has even less than 5 years. Just make sure you build up your own CV in order to reach as close as you can to that job description. So now that we've identified some online job portals, now that we've set up some job alerts, now let's get into the next step, which is preparing for the interview. Now, you've obviously won't be called for all the jobs you've applied. Literally, I've already lost count as to how many emails of rejections I got saying, unfortunately, you weren't shortlisted. Unfortunately, in this time, we're gonna go into some other direction, and everything between that. It's okay, as long as you're confident that these are the roles that you're aiming at, and as long as you're really learning about all these rejections and asking yourself, how can I tweak things at my CV? How can I tweak things at my cover letter? How can I gain more skills? How can I gain more experience in order to get that desired role? It is okay to step back a bit in order to jump even farther. Now that I've restated that, when they do call you, when you are getting shortlisted, first of all, congratulations, because it's a huge step. And second would be, before even getting to that interview phase, be prepared for your interview. Okay, be prepared for the general typical question a recruiter loves to ask, which is, tell me about yourself. Why do you want this job? How could you contribute to this role? So these three are the main types of questions a recruiter will ask you, and you can elaborate in each of them, but just make sure that you are specific, that you show concrete examples at how can you contribute to this role. When they say, tell me about yourself, they're not asking you for what did you study, what was your degree. They're not asking you for information that they can look up in your CV. They're actually asking you about who you are as a person, what do you want, and why are you here, basically. Just make sure that it is a compelling story, that the recruiter has the message that you really are passionate about this type of role and that you're eager to contribute to this company. Like, have you even researched about the values of the company? Have you even researched about specifically function by function of the job description? Like, make sure that they know that you've done your research, in other words. Now, a little bit of parenthesis in this interview preparation is to showcase your soft skills. Now, I decided to include this as a separate step, although it is embedded inside the interview preparation phase. So what I mean by showcasing your soft skills is to demonstrate how your personality fits with the job that you are being interviewed for. So you can say you have communication skills, you can say you have empathy, you can say you have leadership skills, you can say you have teamwork experience and skills. But all of this, again, they need to have concrete examples. So step number 8 would be to consider part-time jobs, graduate schemes, or internship whilst you study. You can even be an intern while you study in something that is related to the field that you are aiming at, and especially if you want to build your CV as soon as you can and you want to do it even before graduation. So with that said, it's important to stress step 9, which is being persistent and adapting. Not everything is going to appear from one day to the other. You might realize one morning that finally you know exactly what you want. Finally, you've adapted your CV, you've revised it through and through, you've adapted your cover letter, you've identified the roles, but you're still not getting interviews. It's okay, it takes time, it's a process. The important thing is that you don't give up. So even though I was already working as a teaching assistant, I decided that my next step was not being a teaching assistant anymore because I wanted to work on a mentoring position one-on-one with the students. But I didn't have a lot of experience doing that. I just had a voluntary experience of mentoring a 14-year-old girl at a secondary school, and all the roles that I was applying for after graduation were sort of young people advisor, learning advisor, career advisor, engagement coordinator, student advisor, student well-being advisor. Everything sort of related to students' well-being and advising, I would apply. But they keep rejecting me because maybe I didn't have much experience around that. But then this interview came, I explained my experience in the corporate world, and I somehow linked that experience to what I was aiming at today. So I said, yes, I have experience in recruitment. So that's how I know how the job market moves and works. And that way I can advise young students into ways of getting into employment. And by using also my soft skills and my degree in psychology, I can contribute even further to this role. So obviously that was in short. I gave a lot of examples and everything, but I think that's what got me the job. So you can do this too, depending on what stage are you in. Do you have lots of experience? Do you have non-experience at all? Do you have like sort of a bit of experience but not so much? Depending on your stage, you can really build up your skills and really adapt whatever jobs that you've been doing until that point in order to get that desired new role, even if it's a bit different from what you've been doing before. Now, step number 10 would be, even if you got the role, even if you were successful at your interviews, your job hunt, congratulations if that's the case, but still we must keep learning, stay updated, especially if your industry, if your sector is continuously moving. This could not only benefit you for your future career steps, but also for your personal growth. So I would say, keep on being curious about your sector. Keep on networking. Keep on volunteering if you have the time. This won't only give you the chance to become more employable to the job market, which is actually not the ultimate aim. This will actually give you the chance to reconfirm what you're really good at and what feels good doing in your everyday life. Just keep moving and being proactive. Not for anyone else, but yourself. Now, thank you for getting until the end of this video. I really appreciate it. Let me know, what stage are you in? Did you just graduated? Are you just starting a new course? Are you traveling? Are you studying abroad? I would like to hear that in the comments. And also, if you have more questions, feel free to DM me those in my Instagram page. And if you like this video and find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channels to see more videos like this. And until then, see you in the next video.